What is going on, guys? Bruin Steel here. I'm joined by no other than Canadian Yorker, and we're here to do WrestleMania 41 Night 1 reaction video or recap video, whatever you want to call it. Canadian Yorker, how's it going today?
Going well today. I can't complain. So, yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. He was here last night for WrestleMania, and we got another special guest. He's camera shy. so yeah, we were here for WrestleMania last night, and yeah, we're here to do our recap. So yeah, let's do it. So so you wanna take over because usually you don't this is the starting off hot in the night one. We had the Jey Uso versus Gunther World Heavyweight Championship match. It was pretty close. I mean, I had a feeling Jey Uso was going to win it all. So, I mean, it went back and forth. Gunther, taunting Jey Uso in this match. But, what surprised me was actually Jey Uso using Gunther's own finisher, a powerbomb, and then the submission hold. Jey Uso, I mean, it would have made sense if Jey Uso lost because, I mean, what was the point of the Royal Rumble of him winning the Royal Rumble if he lost? But, I mean, so Jey Uso makes Gunther tap out. Gunther is just not having a field day when it comes to WrestleMania after losing Sammy last year and then Jey Uso this year. So not really a fun time for Gunther to lose at WrestleMania twice in a row. So he has to regroup. Hopefully he has a win. He wins next year. But Jey Uso takes the title. Jey Uso making Gunther tap out to his own submission hold, which was a surprise. I know Joey was pretty surprised, but Jey Uso defeats Gunther by submission to win the World Heavyweight Championship. Well deserved. And this match had a rating of a B+. So, Canadian Yorker, what are your thoughts on this match? And how do you feel about Jey Uso finally winning the World Heavyweight Championship?
I picked Gunther to win this match because I believe Gunther was, the better wrestler in this match. Gunther had all the advantages to have him win. I thought Gunther would be coming out of WrestleMania as champion. He'd be retaining his championship because it makes sense because he put a lot more work into it. And Jey Uso, he did defeat Gunther. I'm just thinking I would give Gunther a little bit more of a title run as a World Heavyweight Champion, which makes sense for me. But Jey Uso won. He pulled off an upset, so he definitely had it. Now he's a World Heavyweight Champion, and that's great for him. And kudos to Jey Uso for coming out and doing what he had to do to get the job done. So congrats to him.
All right, yes, well done indeed. But how long is that title gonna last? We'll see because he only held on to the IC title for only a certain amount of time. So we have to see what's gonna happen with that. All right, moving on. We got the New Day taking on the War Raiders. I don't know why it says the Viking Raiders, but the New Day facing off against the War Raiders for the World Tag Team titles. This was an amazing match in my own opinion. Erik and Ivar, doing what they do best. They were dominant in most of this match, but towards the end, it was a Kingston and Woods end up putting Ivar down with a double stomp. It went back and forth. It was a great match. I had the War Raiders retaining, but the New Day, they proved that they're the best tag team in this business. And they get the winning the tag team titles. So the War Raiders dropped the titles to the New Day in this amazing tag team match. Obviously the New Day targeting the Erik's neck, surgery. That almost put his career to a halt. Obviously, but they put down Ivar with a double stomp backbreaker combination. Kingston held down Ivar's foot as Woods secured the pinfall. and the New Day snatched the World Tag Team Championship right off. So, the New Day are once again Tag Team Champions, defeating the War Raiders by pinfall. It was a great match, obviously. But I had the wrong pick in this one, obviously. But you picked the New Day, I believe. So, what are your thoughts on the New Day defeating the War Raiders to win the World Tag Team Championship?
I'll say that, the New Day was going to do anything they had to do to make sure that this was, I think they got the win and they became champions. They won through shameless means. They didn't beat the New Day. They didn't beat the War Raiders cleanly. They cheated to win, and that's exactly what happened. I think this is a new start for the tag team titles. I think the War Raiders have taken it as far as they could. They could definitely have retained the championship if the New Day hadn't cheated them out of the championship. And that's what happened in these tag team matches. So we're gonna how long is the New Day's title gonna last? How long is the title reign gonna reign? How long is it gonna last? I think the War Raiders are gonna definitely be coming back and trying to get their championship back, and that would be really fun feud to see the New Day versus the War Raiders going past. Probably see a rematch at SummerSlam. So we can't wait to see that happen, man. So let's see what's gonna happen.
All right, so moving on, we got a singles match. We got Jade Cargill taking on Naomi, which the storyline has been absolute amazing. Obviously, Naomi revealing that she's the one that attacked Jade Cargill, leading to this WrestleMania match. And obviously, there's kind of people scratching their head is like, what if it was all Bianca? What if Naomi was just a ruse? But talking about this match, this was a great match. Obviously, we all had Jade Cargill in this match. It went back and forth. Naomi hitting some really amazing move, a nasty X Factor, face first with a nasty X Factor. Jade Cargill's a strong woman. Went back and forth. Jade Cargill, I believe she hated. She did hit Jaded. She basically Jade elevated Naomi on her shoulders, popped her up into a powerbomb, and changed it to a Jaded. Like always, we knew this was going to happen. Jade Cargill coming out victorious in this match, defeating Naomi by pinfall. And this match got a C+ to my surprise. I thought it was a great match. But what are your thoughts on Jade Cargill defeating Naomi by pinfall?
The person who wrote this part for the Cargill and Naomi story obviously hasn't been watching SmackDown, hasn't been watching Raw. This person that gave the C+ obviously needs to pay more attention to WWE. Okay, to give this match a C+ match after the storyline that just that just happened with Naomi and Jade Cargill, don't give this a C+ match. It's about the storyline we care about, man. I want to say, I think I picked Jade to win, because I said it's just Jade's moment to get her revenge against Naomi at WrestleMania, and that's exactly what happened. But this is not the end of this story. Naomi is definitely coming back and getting some payback on Jade after WrestleMania. We're gonna see this feud continue after WrestleMania. This will be great to see going forward. What's gonna be the next step for Naomi after her loss to Jade at WrestleMania. But at the same time, it would have made sense. It would make sense to see Naomi get a win at WrestleMania because, let's be honest, we haven't really seen her get any wins at WrestleMania since the last time she was in WrestleMania. So, but like I said, it worked out in the end. Naomi put Jade over, and Jade was able to get a win against her at WrestleMania. So that's good. That's good to see.
All right. So moving on to the next match. We got the United States Championship on the line. We got Jacob Fatu, Samoan Werewolf, facing off against LA Knight, who's defending the title. This was a great match, and I just want to mention that the highlight of this match was probably LA Knight hitting the mid mid-air BFT on Jacob Fatu, but it wasn't enough. I believe Jacob Fatu grabbed the rope after LA Knight tried to capitalize on the win. But man, that mid-air BFT was awesome. Me and Joey actually saw that live on stream. It was an amazing move. He said that it reminded him of his Randy Orton RKO in midair move that Randy Orton did. But that was an amazing move by Knight, but it wasn't enough. Fatu was just too strong. With a top rope Samoan drop and a pair of jump up moonsault. Jacob Fatu wins his first singles title in WWE. Jacob Fatu defeating LA Knight by pinfall to win the United States title. And so far, that's 3 title changes right there. So, what a win for Jacob Fatu. You know, he deserves a championship. But I just feel like this is a storyline moving forward. Jacob Fatu feuding with Solo Sikoa. I think the new bloodline is pretty much dead. I think they're going to be over. One of them is turning on each other because of the shenanigans. Obviously, Solo losing to Cody a bunch. Obviously, the tensions in this new bloodline. So, what are your thoughts on Jacob Fatu defeating LA Knight to win the United States Championship?
Wow, what a win for Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu was able to overcome, to just get the win against LA Knight. And let's be honest, Jacob Fatu was a very tough opponent for LA Knight. Like I said, LA Knight is going to have to put out other stops to be able to get a win against Jacob Fatu. But ultimately, facing Jacob Fatu one-on-one, it's going to take a lot to beat him one-on-one. So LA Knight did everything he could, but he just couldn't get over the hump against Jacob Fatu. And, Jacob Fatu was able to just keep him from making a comeback and keep him in control. And he got the win against LA Knight, and now he's the new U.S. champion. But I don't think this is the end for LA Knight, because LA Knight could definitely ask for a rematch against Jacob Fatu, and so we could see some sort of mixing with LA Knight and Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. The new bloodline is probably going to be breaking up. Maybe Solo's going to be getting kicked out of the bloodline, or Jacob's leaving the new bloodline. We're going to have to see what's going to happen with that going forward. So, that's what we have to see with that going forward. So it's going to be kind of interesting.
All right, so moving on to the next match, we got another singles match. We got El Grande Americano facing off against Rey Fenix. It was supposed to be El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio, but on this past Friday Night Smackdown, Rey Mysterio suffered an injury, so Rey Fenix making his WrestleMania debut. Obviously, Americano is Chad Gable. There was this time where Americano hit a 450 splash. You've never seen Chad Gable / El Grande Americano hit a 450 splash, which was amazing. That was an amazing move by Americano. It went back and forth. There was some interference with Lucha Libre AA Worldwide Star El Hijo Del Vaca, who kicked Americano in the face. But once again, that steel plate that Americano always put on the side of his mask or in front of his mask came to play in this match, obviously. The steel plate sliding underneath the mask. Fenix didn't know if it was there. He kicked Americano in the face, but then ended up injuring himself because of the steel plate. A headbutt drops Fenix cold, and a flying headbutt seals the deal. Once again, Americano stands tall, defeating Rey Fenix by pinfall, and we were all wrong. We thought Chad Gable was going to get exploded, but no, it looks like he's going to get exploded later on. We don't know when, but Americano once again cheats to win with the steel plate in his mask, defeating Rey Fenix. What were your thoughts on this match?
It's unfortunate that Rey Mysterio is injured right in the middle of WrestleMania, and Rey Fenix comes out. He does his thing. He tries to put on a good show. Grande Americano, beats him. So it's kind of disappointing that happened. I would have preferred to have, Rey Mysterio in this match, but he got injured, unfortunately. But we're probably going to have to see Rey Mysterio versus Americano sometime later, probably between now and at SummerSlam. So, but there will be a rematch at some point. So we'll have to see what's gonna happen.
All right, so yeah, I'm interested in seeing when Chad Gable finally is gonna get exposed for being Americano. But moving on to the next match, we got the women's championship match. We got Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. A long time running storyline, kind of. The feud got personal. They went off the script. Obviously. But talking about this match, this was a physical match. Obviously, we saw Tiffany lose a couple of tooths after the match. We saw Charlotte Flair dealing with a leg injury with that brace. Obviously, Charlotte was targeting Tiffany's knee as well. So, it's personal. It went back and forth. It just went, back and forth. And, Flair, people were like, oh, yeah, Flair wins. People are just going to hate her, obviously. But at the end, Stratton was able to survive, planted Flair with the Alabama Slam Alabama Slam, and was able to hit pretty moonsault ever to win the match. And Tiffany Stratton defeats Charlotte Flair, probably, I would say, her biggest win of her career, beating one of the all-time greats, obviously. But Tiffany Stratton defeats Charlotte Flair by pinfall. And all I can say is, that was a great match. I mean, that's just that. But what are your thoughts on Tiffany Stratton defeating Charlotte Flair by pinfall? I know you had Charlotte Flair in this one. I had Tiffany. I mean, she needed this one. This is, like I said, this is by far probably Tiffany's biggest WrestleMania win, beating one of the greats.
I would agree that's definitely Tiffany's biggest WrestleMania win, because Charlotte Flair is a 14-time champion, and if she had beaten Tiffany, this would have made her 15th time as Women's World Champion. So it is definitely Tiffany's big win against Charlotte Flair. I would say it's sort of unfortunate that Charlotte Flair had lost because the fact that she probably wanted to do it for her dad. She wanted to get the win for her dad, and and get up there. But sometimes some people, it's just not possible to get over the hump. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and it happens. We've seen this all the time. With in other sports, like in basketball, with everybody's trying to be better than Michael Jordan. But sometimes it's really hard to make it to the top and win consistently. You can't win every time. Sometimes you lose, and it's like a hard loss for Charlotte Flair. You saw it in football, with New England Patriots. It's the same thing in wrestling. So Charlotte Flair just couldn't get over the hump against Tiffany Stratton. And, this is a tough lesson for Charlotte. So we're going to have to see what's going to happen, with Charlotte going forward. What's going to be her next step? Because Tiffany...
Io Sky. Imagine she tried to go after the world title.
Oh, boy, no. She can't go after the world title after this. What's going to be the next step for Charlotte, man? We don't know.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to the WrestleMania 41 main event. We got the triple threat match, which was an absolute banger. Shout out to Joey for calling this match correctly. He was excited. So Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. Joey, you sure you don't want to come here and share your thoughts on how you were 100% correct? This match was unbelievable. It went back and forth. I think we had a stomp, we had a Superman punch, we had a stomp by CM Punk, we had a stomp by Seth, and then I think we had a spear. We had like 4 finishers in a span of 3 seconds,
Whoa.
Which was insane. CM Punk hitting a stomp. I think Roman hit a spear, or whoever hit a spear. But we had like 4 finishers at one point within the span of 5 seconds.
Wow,
yeah.
5 seconds.
They got some steel chairs involved in this match. Roman Reigns was just dominant in this match. Hitting Superman punch, Samoan drop on Punk, and then super punch on Rollins, and then obviously we saw Punk and Seth brawling in the crowd. A trash can was used, steel chair was used, and eventually Roman made a loop and springboard all over the barricade and onto them. And yeah, it literally went back and forth, Punk, Seth Rollins was yelling at Roman Reigns, "Oh, Punk doesn't belong here." It looked like Roman Reigns was gonna team with Punk, Seth Rollins to put CM Punk into the announce table, but no, Roman attacked Rollins and did it himself. Roman powerbombing CM Punk into the table and putting Seth Rollins into the other announce table. So first goes CM Punk for the announce table, and then Seth Rollins, and then Heyman finally makes his presence after extension of finishes the near fall. That was Heyman who introduces the steel chair and forces it to choose between Punk and Reigns, slides it to Punk. When Punk used the chair, Heyman strikes him with a low blow. Heyman was pissed off about his decision, but Reigns was overjoyed. And once again, Paul Heyman tells Roman, "Look, my tribal chief, Seth is standing up." And Paul Heyman low blows Roman, and Seth Rollins standing up knowing what happens, and Heyman gives the chair to Seth Rollins. Once again, that 2024 betrayal steel chair shot to Roman in the back, followed up to a stomp. Seth Rollins defeats Roman Reigns and Punk thanks to Paul Heyman's betrayal, and it's official. Seth Rollins is officially a heel, and he is officially a Paul Heyman guy. So Rollins and Paul Heyman with a partnership. Who thinks that would ever happen in this lifetime? What are your thoughts?
Wow, what a sequence! I know I picked Seth Rollins to win. However, in when I picked Seth Rollins to win, I was not expecting Paul Heyman to basically join Seth Rollins. But here's the thing: it's gonna happen. Seth Rollins is probably gonna side with one of those three guys, but Paul Heyman chose to side with Seth Rollins, out of all people, and now they have joined forces, and Seth Rollins is emerged victorious over Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Here's the thing, though. I think why didn't Roman Reigns see this coming from a mile away? He obviously should have seen this coming from a mile away, because obviously Paul Heyman Paul Heyman has Paul Heyman has a history of this. He's done this time and time again, and Roman Reigns didn't realize that the same thing that happened to all these other guys, and CM Punk too. CM Punk has been betrayed by as well. Why didn't they realize it? Why didn't they realize it? It's just, that's wild. That is wild that they couldn't smell this coming from a mile away. But obviously, Paul Heyman did what he did. Seth Rollins came out as the victor, and I think this is just a big statement match for Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins lost to CM Punk twice already. He lost to him twice. So this is Paul Heyman's, Seth Rollins' way of winning in the statement win against CM Punk in a big fashion. And this is quite shocking, that Paul Heyman completely betrayed Roman Reigns and CM Punk in the same ring. That is crazy.
Yeah. All right. So that would do it for WrestleMania 41 Night 1 recap video. It was, I think Night 1 was great. We still got the Night 2 recap video to do. But yeah, overall rating, I give this Night 1 overall rating I give it an A-. How about you?
I'm going to give it an A.
A?
Yes.
All right. Alright, so that would do it for WrestleMania 41 Night 1 recap. My name is Bruin Steele, the Skinny Yorker. Be sure to check out his YouTube channel as well as our WWE Wrestling Bros channel. The link will also be in the description of this video as well. And yeah, we will see you guys in a bit for Night 2 recap video. My name is Bruin Steele, the Skinny Yorker, and we are out. So see you guys later.